would say this instrument has it's very in between. It's warm, and also it has just enough brightness to where it can project and carry, but it's not overbearingly loud. So it has a very nice amount of sound volume, and it's just right in that happy middle of being, you know, with it being too soft or too loud, just right smack in the middle. I love how shifting up feels very smooth. I didn't feel any like interruptions. It felt very easy to slide up and down the strings. And I also really enjoy how bright the E string is. It does have a brighter E string, probably because of these particular strings, but the upper end really, really projects out, which is great. So I'm going to play a little excerpt of Chartis. So with these dominant strings, I can tell that the low register has a lot more to say, because already with the dominant strings, I could hear that there is a lot of presence with the low end. And if you're wanting even more, a string change would be excellent. Or if you're wanting to just warm it up and maybe make it a little bit softer, you could, again, strings are a huge influence in, well, one of the main influences in how well the instrument speaks. There are, of course, other adjustments that can be made, but already the sound of the low end really speaks out, and it has a healthy, consistent tone. It doesn't die down. Well, at one point it died down, but that's because my finger slipped off the string just a little bit, so that's not an instrument issue, that was a me problem. But overall, once I corrected that shift, the tone didn't die down. We didn't get a choking of the sound. It just had a very healthy, consistent sound all throughout while I was shifting up the G string, which is called Sol G. So I do appreciate the consistent in tone and sound across the whole instrument. That would mean it makes it very easy to shift dynamics, or to switch from dynamic to dynamic, and to make smooth transitions between how loud or soft you're playing, or the different colors. So playing really brightly and aggressively, or playing soft and mellowly is an example of two colors that we can have on the instrument. Oops. I'll play a little excerpt from meditation. again, normally with some instruments, well, I wouldn't use the word normally, but sometimes with some instruments, when I play that excerpt from meditation, once I get up to that high end, I'm like kind of cringing because my ear's hurting so bad. But you know, I know it has to project, it has to sing out, and so I have to put it with my ear being just deafened. But I really love how I was able to get a strong, powerful sound without having that deafening in my ear. And so a lot of the sound really carries out and forward. And also, again, the instrument is just not extremely loud itself, but it still projects and it still has a big sound. I also love the dynamic range on this one. Again, it doesn't get up too high, but the low ends and the soft sounds on this instrument, you can get pretty soft on this one, which is really nice because it's important to be able to whisper on a violin. So I do appreciate that dynamic range of this one. I'll play one last excerpt. It's an excerpt from Don Juan that a lot of violinists have to prepare for professional auditions. So, yeah, it can still get pretty loud, but fortunately my ear's not being super deafened by it. So if I do, one more thing. I do appreciate how the instrument is capable of making all of its notes very clear. It's not very muddy, and you can hear every single note that's being played, of course, with the right bow technique and everything. So some of my notes were a little bit muddy, but that's because my bow slipped just a tiny bit a few times. And so if you're listening really, really carefully, you can hear that a lot of the notes are very, very clear, and that if something does appear to be muddy, you have to check first your technique and then check the instrument. And so there's a little passage in there that I think I need to go back and review and practice a little bit. So I think this is a really excellent and very versatile instrument. It can be used for solo works, it can be used for orchestral. I think it'd also be great for chamber. And so if you are an intermediate to advanced, intermediate going into advanced or an advanced musician, I would say that this is a great instrument for you. Personally, I think dominants are a great starting point for strings, but there are other strings that I love so much. And so if I were purchasing this instrument, I would definitely change the strings. But that is just my personal choice because I love about 2 to 3 other brands of violin strings. So y'all should come check this one out.
Awesome, Catherine. I want to talk just a tad on this one. This violin, you can tell it's been played before, and how I can tell that you can see that it's been played is all along here. I never knew why violins would have wear marks along there, and that's from, you probably know the right term, but just when you're plucking, your actual kind of thumb goes in that area as you're plucking the violin. So you can tell this violin has been played and well worn. I want to say that too, say this, is this violin, we were able to purchase it, but we purchased it broken. Unfortunately, the neck had broke, and I would be, if I was a betting man, I'd wager all my money that that's the only reason why the player gave this violin up, because you can tell it's been well loved, well played. It's just that damage is very expensive to repair, and this has been repaired right. We could see that somebody tried to repair this. The first time we repaired it, it didn't stick, and we actually went in deeper and we found out what the problem was. Well, it's been repaired. Retail, we probably put in at least $1,500 worth of repairs on that. Now, as we fix these, it's just our time, so we're not spending that money, but that's how much it would cost you, and that would explain why this violin was sold by the previous owner. So I want to say this is probably gauged as an intermediate violin, but after the setup, after the repairs, I mean, it is, as Catherine said, I feel it plays more on the advanced level. It's deep, rich, extremely resonant, projects, it's broad. It was funny when Catherine was playing too. She was playing and actually could hear the ringing of it, to where I think one of the actual strings, just like a sympathetic string, started singing, and it wasn't even being played. It was kind of interesting. So I would be willing to wager too that if you put on a set of Il Canonis, which I know that Catherine does like, that the low end definitely can be turned up. And lastly, just here's my example. So violins can be set up in multiple amounts of ways. Everyone here's probably been in a car, seen a car, know that when you sit in a car, there's a ton of adjustments. Your rear view mirror, your side mirrors, your seat, your lumbar support. Well, that's kind of the same thing with a violin. It's been set up how the person thinks that the person sitting in the seat will like it. Take it to your local luthier and get it just adjusted. Get the strings that you love, get that sound post adjusted to make it a little more brighter, a little bit warmer, and fine tune it. But this is a good, just a medium set of the road, a medium, whatever that saying is. But I'll stop talking to let you know that this is actually a very, very nice violin and quite surprising. So we hope it finds the right home, and I would actually even more love if it found its original owner, because I think that they loved it a lot. But Catherine, bravo, once again, extraordinary playing. And thank you, online friends. We couldn't do it without you. Play on.